All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Adams Brothers Podcast. We are joined here on this beautiful hump day here in South Florida with Mr. Dale V.C. Holness. Mr. Holness is joining us back here on our podcast. This isn't his first time here on our podcast. He's been here before, so certainly he is no stranger to our podcast, and we'd like to welcome him back. So I'll give you a quick little introduction about Mr. Holness. He was first elected as a student government freshman senator in college. And from there, Mr. Holness found his calling in the political arena. So after that, he ran for the City of Lauderhill Commissioner in 2004. And he was elected in 2004, and he served as the city commissioner from 2004 to 2010. And he also served 2 terms as vice mayor with the City of Lauderhill. And on from there, he was elected to the Broward County Commission, District 9, and he was the Broward County Commissioner from 2010 until 2022. And during that term, he was also the Broward County Mayor at the height of COVID, I might add, in 2020. And in 2021, he ran against the incumbent Sheila Shirfless McCormick, and he lost by a small amount of votes, by 5 votes. So Mr. Holness is back. He never gives up. He is back, and he's ready to take on the challenge up in Washington, D.C., and he wants to represent District 20 here in the U.S. Congress. So Mr. Dale V.C. Holness, we'd like to welcome you back to the Adams Brothers Podcast. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you so much, my friends. It is great to see 2 brothers working together. The brotherhood is strong.
Yes.
Working to inform, educate, uplift our community. The information you bring is relevant, timely, and powerful to help our community understand what is happening and how they can be engaged and involved. So I'm grateful to be back here again. Multiple times I've been here. Yes. I'm grateful again for your work. You're doing public service.
Oh, yes.
I consider myself a public servant as you are.
Yes. Thank you.
When you serve the public, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, well, we really thank you for, we know you have a busy schedule. The election is coming up in August on the 18th.
Yes.
And you're out there on the campaign trail. We got a chance to see you in Deerfield Beach about a week or so ago. You came up and you did a little campaigning at the American Legion Hall, Post 287 in Deerfield Beach. And it was nice seeing you there. And now you're here back on our podcast again to answer some tough questions for the people that's going to be voting on the primary election in August on the 18th. So hey, we're here, and we're gonna wish you luck. We know you won't need it, but we're here.
I do need it.
We're gonna ask you some questions, and I'm sure you'll be able to answer them.
So I was very grateful to be up there with you at the American Legion Hall, supporting our veterans in their fundraising effort. I think we were there until beyond midnight. And
yes, we were.
That campaigning is a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
You go from early in the morning to late at night. And that night I was up beyond midnight there with the folks. And it was, I think I got there probably about 11 o'clock anyway, but that was because I was out doing many other events. And I know that the veterans would be there until later in the evening doing their fundraising effort. And we must pay tribute to our veterans and support them, not only from the government side, but our entire community and nation owe them a debt of gratitude for their service, for their willingness to offer themselves in harm's way to protect America and what we stand for. Salute to our veterans.
Yeah. And we want to thank all of our veterans who may be watching out there in Facebook and YouTube land. If you served in the United States Armed Forces. We want to thank you for your service, first and foremost,
Absolutely.
Before we get started.
Yeah.
And
we got a chance to meet your assistant, Dion.
Dion,
too.
yeah, he was a really nice young man. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a chance to meet him throughout the night before you just came through for a few. But Dion was very interesting to talk to. Be a youngster, 25 years old, I believe he told us he is. He's very knowledgeable on the political scene, though.
Yeah. He's my advanced person at times in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Very bright kid, as you said. College grad in political science, and now he's headed towards law school. And hopefully he'll get there, and I'll be behind him, supporting him. We must build our future, our young people, and all my campaigns. And even before I was running for office, I've always had young people as interns, pouring into them everything I can. It is essential that we build the future, and they are our future. He is certainly our future, and there's so many young people around my campaign, as you may have witnessed when you stop by the office. It is a movement to engage and build our community now and in the future, but also to support those seniors who have worked hard and tirelessly to build this great country. We live on their backs. They've built it for us to be here. And now that we are here, we must help the future by building our young people.
No doubt.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
So let's get on into the questions here. When you were back on the Broward County Commission, what specific accomplishments from your time on the Broward County Commission best demonstrates how effective you will be in Congress, not just in local government, but just in Congress? So what accomplishment from your time on the Broward County Commission best demonstrates how effective you'll be in Congress if elected?
So there are multiple things, but you mentioned one at the start of the program, being the mayor during COVID. And I tell you, that was a huge challenge for us, for the world.
It was.
It demonstrates that humanity is connected. Some virus that started infecting human beings in China spread within weeks to the entire globe. And we had to respond. And in Broward County, under my leadership, I brought the community together, bringing all our mayors to a call once per week. And of course, Zoom became popular.
It did.
For us, it did too.
Yeah, so online conferences became the norm. I was able to assemble the elected leaders, the mayors primarily, of each city. We brought in our hospital districts and all the hospitals. We brought in our medical folks and community people to look at what we were facing and adjust ourselves accordingly. We put in place many emergency orders, but we measured them. We didn't totally shut down the county and then kill jobs and kill employment. We were measured in our response. But because we brought the community together, and I was out there on the front line, at times people say, why you here, there, and everywhere still trying to make things happen? Well, that was my job. Right. Bringing us together and formulating policies that would save our community and save our people. Because of that, we had less deaths per thousand in Broward County than they did in Miami, Dade, or in Palm Beach. And in fact, numerically less in Broward County than Palm Beach County, even though we have 500,000 people more. So that's about leadership and bringing people together to solve issues. But there are other issues that came in front of us that I think I played a very significant role in helping. Economic growth and development was a huge part of my focus. And assisting our small businesses, under which category falls most minority women-owned businesses. When I got to Broward County, 10.25% of our procurement or spend went to that group. When I left in 2022, almost 50%, $248 million went to them. So that tells you about leadership and about putting policies in place that provides for prosperity for all people. Another big accomplishment was for us to direct funds to underserved communities. We looked at the zip codes in Broward County, and we identified at the time 6, I think we're up to 7 or 8 now, for Prosperity Broward. And I work with the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance or major business development group to target resources and fund to those communities. Something else came out of that, Broward Up, which is something that Broward College has put in place to identify communities and people who need help. And they are actually headquartered now at the YMCA on Sistrunk Boulevard. They are now helping young people who need to finish their GED, a high school diploma, and get a GED. They're helping those who need to speak English, that where English is a second language to them. They're helping to get folks their chauffeur's license, their CDL license. They're helping to get phlebotomists and as ancillary people in the medical field and many other professions that only takes a few weeks or a couple of months in order to get certification so they can go out and earn a good living. That's a big deal for us. We have to target our resources where it is needed the most. Mm-hmm. I worked closely with our team at the county to get the convention center built, $1.1 billion. We put 801 hotel rooms in there so that we could capture more of the major conferences that occur across our country and across the world. Tourism is our #1 source of revenue for our economy in Broward County. And it is essential that we invest there. In fact, part of what happened during COVID was we had 2 ships, the Rotterdam and the Zaandam, that were stuck at sea. People may remember, no port wanted to take them in.
Right.
We took them in Broward County because here's what my rationale was. If we have folks that we want to invite here all the time to spend their money, when they're in trouble, why wouldn't we want to help them? And that assisted us in rebounding our tourism economy quickly. Calls from around the world came in thanking us for helping those folks. And there were many Americans that were on board those ships. We couldn't abandon them and allow them to die that wouldn't be humane. So there's a big deal about how we deal with people in a humane way. Again, that was quite successful. So there are other things that I put in place also. I work to help get the funding for deepening and widening our Port Everglades. It's a major economic engine with thousands of jobs tied to it. The longshoremen will tell you. The increase in number of cruise ships that comes in, the increase in number of cargo ships that comes in, help us grow our economy. It's high-paying jobs, by the way, that happens there. We are strategically located between Miami and Palm Beach. 6 million people live in this metropolitan area. That's an economic powerhouse. We actually are the economic capital of the state of Florida. And if Florida were a country by itself, we would be about 17th in terms of economic growth position in GDP. That's a big deal. So we can capture more of that. And that's a part of what we have to look to do. We have to look to see how we grow our economy and ensure that people who are working, the laborers who are providing the work, providing the profits for major corporation, live in prosperity. We can't just allow the corporation to prosper and the people who provide the labor to make those profits and that prosperity for the wealthiest don't live in prosperity. And that's goes to one of the big things I want to get to when I get to the Congress, to rebuild America's middle class. Too many people are working and not able to make ends meet. The affordability crisis is huge. It's a major issue. Now, how do we tackle that? And at top of the list is housing. People having a difficult time to be housed. Alice report says that 47% of the people in Florida, almost 1 in 2 Floridians, either live in poverty, which is about 13%, and another 34% who have jobs. They work, and they are not able to make ends meet at the end of the month. And for those who work, if there's a car repair, a major car repair, or a medical bill, they're ruined. That's not the America we ought to be living in, the wealthiest country in the world. But we must change the tax code, because what we do now is reward the wealthiest Americans, the billionaires and the trillionaire, like Elon Musk. We give them tax break. They pay less percentage in taxes for what they earn compared to the ordinary person, compared to a firefighter, a teacher, a nurse. We have to level the playing field to bring revenues into the hands of people. The child credit tax that we give to people who have children must be increased and must be made permanent. America's population is not growing to the extent of replacement, which means that those who collect Social Security and other benefits, if we don't have revenues coming in, there will not be benefits for them, because people have to work in order to pay into the system for those funding to be in place to take care of those who have labored so long. There's a whole big agenda there that we need to work with. Affordable housing is something we must address, and I did that at Broward County. Thousands of units of affordable housing were built as a result of us taking money from those CRAs that were expired and targeted into affordability in terms of our housing stock, and also to economic development. Because affordability have two factors: one, the cost; two, the money you have. If you have a lot of money, you can afford it. If you don't have much money, you can't afford much anything. And if the cost is high and you don't have enough money, you got problems, a whole lot of problems. So we've got so much that we must do. Our seniors who have worked and tirelessly to build our country need to have the ability to retire and live in dignity. The minimum amount that we give to Social Security recipient must be increased. It must be increased for them to be able to live. $1,200, $1,400 a month. Who can live on that? The average Social Security recipient received $2,200 per month. It's almost impossible to live on that.
Yeah.
And here's what happens: if we change the tax code and put more money in the working people's hands, our economy will grow. This Republican concept that if you give more to the wealthy, it will trickle down, have been proven wrong time and time again. Bill Clinton, when he came to power, balanced the budget, gave the middle class a huge tax cut, and the economy grew, because he understood that if people have money, they're going to spend it.
He left them a deficit too. He left them a
surplus. A surplus.
Surplus. Yes,
Yeah.
he left them a surplus.
Not only did he balance the budget, he reduced the deficit. This guy is putting trillions of dollars onto the deficit. Or debt to GDP now is more than 100%.
Yeah.
Developing countries, we tell them you can't have that kind of debt to GDP. And here's the looming problem. Who holds that debt? China, Saudi Arabia, Japan. Those are the three countries that hold the largest amount of that debt. If they decide someday that they want their money, interest rate will go through the roof, and every American will pay for it. And our children are going to pay for that deficit that's in place. Changing the tax code, ensuring that the wealthiest pay their fair share, is essential to growing our economy. Putting money into the hands of working families will grow our economy exponentially. Medicare, Medicaid. This government that's in place under Trump have launched an assault on Medicare and on the Affordable Care Act that provide health care for our working people and for retirees. It's wrong. It's shameful. They talk about a big, beautiful bill. It was a big, ugly, nasty bill that they passed. And we're seeing the effect of it. People are suffering across this country. The affordability crisis has deepened, not being relieved. He said he wouldn't do wars. We're in one now. You and I are paying. Yesterday, I filled my tank up. It was $3.99. Before this war happened, I was paying $2.59. That's a huge burden on working families.
Yes,
That
it
ought
is.
not be there. So there's so much that we need to do. And a big part of what we must do is be strategic about it and really put Democrats back in power.
I want to ask you a question too, Mr. Holness. Deborah Wasserman Schultz entered this race. What are your thoughts on her district being eliminated, and she's coming over now to District 20? Can you share your thoughts with us about that?
So let me first say this, my friend. Her district was not eliminated.
Okay.
The districts were redrawn. We have 20,
right.
exactly. We have 28 seats in the Florida House from Florida. Those 28 seats still exist.
Right.
The boundaries have changed. The boundaries for District 20 changed also.
Mm-hmm.
We used to be in Palm Beach. It's now all of Broward County. So her district was not eliminated. And in fact,
right.
the house, the district that she lives in, District 22, 40% of our old district is in that.
Right.
And only 10% of District 20, as it was before, is in her, was in her district. So 40% still stays with District 22. Only 10% of District 20 she represented previously.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my belief is this, that if you are supposedly a leader, that you take the fight on. You don't run away from it. Trump and DeSantis has done a very bad thing, but you're complicit in what they've done if you run away from the fight. Her District 22, where she lives, could be won by her, can be won by a Democrat. In fact, history shows that. Biden won that seat by 3% as it's now configured in 2020. Yes, Biden won the seat as it's now configured in 2020 by 3%. In 2024, a woman's right to her bodily function, Amendment 4, passed by 60%, 3% higher than the state average of 57%. She's a woman. That bodes well for her. Now, Trump won it by 10 points. Yes, 10%. But look at what has occurred since then. House District 1 in Pensacola, Matt Gaetz' old district, swung away from the Republicans after Trump got elected in that special election by 22%. House District 6, where Fine now have up in Daytona Beach area, swung away from them by 16%. House District 87, Florida House District 87, where Trump lives, he endorsed the Republican candidate, and a Democrat beat that person by 17%. That seat can be won. We've seen a swing away from the Republicans since Trump's got in office because people realized that he wasn't truthful, that he didn't mean what he said, that they've seen now that he's looking out for himself and his billionaire buddies at the expense of the American people. With the amount of money she had and the fact that she has national record, that seat could be one day. But guess what? For expediently, 4 blacks running for the seat that's been held by a black person for 34 years. Thoughts are, well, I come in, it's easier because all those black folks are going to split the 52% black votes that's there, and I can capture enough white votes and maybe take a few black votes, and I'll win. That's shirking your responsibility in my mind in terms of showing a leader that is willing to take the fight on. We need to make Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House.
Has she done?
And how we do that is get to 218 House seats out of the 435 that exist. If we give that one away to the Republican, as that action suggests, then we need to pick up one more seat to get to the 218, because we're at about 215 now when the House is fully seated. Democrats and Republicans, 3 more seats take us to 218. They're 217. Hakeem Jeffries become the Speaker of the House. We can now take on these cruel policies that have been put in place by this administration and block them. Without us controlling the House or the Senate or both, we don't have the ability to stop much of what he does.
Has she divided the Democratic Party here in South Florida?
Oh, in a huge way, in a huge way. And I tell you this, it's not just the African-American community that's upset. I was at the East Side Democratic Club last night, and there were folks telling me that what she did was wrong. They were saying what I'm telling you now. I'm getting it from them. That's not leadership. And listen, I'm not telling you she's a bad person, not at all. I'm just saying that was a bad move. That wasn't the move that should have been made, because the other part of it is this: a lot of African Americans are telling me we're not going to be no Democrat no more, because look at what they're doing to us. And before this, I was hearing, oh, you know, Democrats take us for granted. They take our votes for granted. And I'm sure you guys hear that.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, all the time.
We hear it all the time.
I got to tell you, two prominent leaders in the three in the Black community have told me, look, if the Black community lose this opportunity to have a voice, they're switch into Republican. And that's not good for us as a people. I got to tell you that, because Republicans, Democrats, you may say, take us for granted at times, but Republicans really don't like us. Most of the times they say bad things about us. Okay. Trump spoke of those who are from African countries that they come from S-hole countries. He doesn't really like us as a people. And you can listen, the man had way back in the 70s, 80s, had a discrimination policy because he didn't want to allow Black folks to live in his rental communities. That tells you a whole lot. He hasn't changed. We can't allow for him to continue to do the things he is doing to the American people. Not just Black people, but all of our American brothers and sisters are suffering under this administration. And I don't see it getting better unless we stop him, unless we change the trajectory of what's going on. More people are going to be suffering. There's a whole, listen, here's a great country as we are, that he wants to abolish the education department.
Yeah.
We're in a global economy. We have to compete. China is creating more engineers and India is creating more engineers than we are. We should be investing in our educational system so that we can be competitive with the rest of the world, so that we don't have as many people suffering. And something else, when you have people with skill sets and ability to earn a good living, less people go to prison or jail.
Yeah, right.
Fact.
I want to hop in with my second question for you, Mr. Holness. Some of your critics might say that you've been in public office for years, and why should voters believe you'll accomplish more in Washington than in previous than your previous representatives?
Well, I can tell you this, that I've been involved in elected office for some time, but you look at my track record. Let me start with Lauderhill, where I was first elected. I ran for Lauderhill because I interviewed all the candidates for the city, and I found that there was not enough ideas as to how we move the community forward. We had drug dealers selling drugs across the street from City Hall and the police station at 19th Street and 55th Avenue. I don't know if any of you, I see you nodding your head, so you know what I'm talking about. That area was, okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I'm not making stuff up, okay? It was real. The area had run down, there was neglect, and I didn't hear the solutions. So I ran and I won. And what we did, we cleaned that area up. Have you been there lately? You've seen how much beautiful it looks now? Yeah. We got new homes in that neighborhood. We put swales, irrigation in the swales to keep it green. We put shrubbery in the medium strips. We painted up the community. We cleaned up the community. I brought in the Career Source, which was then Workforce One, to help the young people get jobs and get job training that were on the corner selling the drugs. Exactly. Listen, we bought the corner store under my leadership, $2 million, even though I was It was pushback from my city attorney that says it's going to take forever for us to get total control of the site because there's a lease there from that corner store that was probably complicit in what was going on. I says, we buy it anyhow. We take control of it. And I want to make sure we have police cars out there monitoring what's going on. I want to make sure we're doing the things necessary to help the young people that were out there on our corner doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing, get job training and get opportunity to get to work. I put together Lauderhill's Education A+ plan with that in mind. And it was successful enough to help our schools improve their grades, $100,000 a year from the city. Most cities don't do that.
Right.
I started Lauderhill Chamber of Commerce because I saw the need to help our business grow and grow our economy in that city. $100,000. That chamber is still a strong chamber in Broward County, doing great things to help our business community prosper. Because when we create jobs, when we create more employment, when we support our local small businesses, we grow our economy and people benefit from that. Right? The Performing Arts Center, something that I worked hard for in 2002 to put in place, and it's there now, bringing service to our community. The regional park, now an economic powerhouse for our community by bringing in international games right there, right in Lauderhill, in central Broward County. The transit center at Lauderhill Mall and the transformation of Lauderhill Mall, I played a key role there. Got to the county. We put in place measures to help our small businesses. We put in place measures to expand our airport. The additional transportation tax, $16 billion. I was at the front of that. $16 billion is being generated as a result of it. 30% designation for small local businesses. 30% of $16 billion over 30 years. That's going to certainly grow our economy and create more jobs for people. Yeah. Yeah. We have to have good transportation in place. I started Florida's International Trade and Cultural Expo, where we won an award from the president in 2019. Wilbur Ross gave us the plaque that says that Broward County has helped small, moderate-sized businesses export more. That award goes back to President Kennedy in 1962. That's the kind of leadership that I've put in place, and there's so much more. Holnessforcongress.com is where you can find me. So understand this, that I understand the needs of our people. I know how to work strategically. I know how to understand that there are times you don't get everything you want. And I point to something that I was able to accomplish while I was on the commission, passing an additional homestead exemption for seniors who are low income. That's 50,000 additional homestead exemption, bringing down their cost for property taxes, because I knew we needed to make sure seniors age in home. That's a big deal. Now we have an item on the ballot this year for changing that and increasing the amount. I don't think it's structured correctly. It's going to cause some damage, but that's the cry for the people. They want to see relief. We must be fiscally responsible in the people's money. We have to make sure every penny that comes in is accounted for and well spent. In Washington, that isn't the case at all. We're paying to build bombs at enormous cost to our economy. We have too much money going into war rather than into peace. We must change that. Yes, we must have a secure country. No doubt about it. You won't get me saying we shouldn't have a military and a strong military. But we must be measured in that and making sure that the investments that we make are pragmatic and that it produces prosperity for all our people, not for the wealthiest, not for the military industrial complex, but for the people.
I want to ask you a question too while you're speaking of the military. Do you support or oppose military intervention in Cuba and Haiti?
No. And let me tell you why. The people need to decide their destiny as just as we are to decide our own destiny in this country. We ought to lend support. In the case of, I take Cuba, we have had an embargo for too long. The people are suffering. And yes, we're trying to make changes that we want, but there's a better way to do it. Engagement, as Obama did. And the country made some adjustments. To put our military at risk for what? We had the Vietnam. What did we get out of it? Body bags. How did we benefit our people? In Haiti, what we needed to do that we haven't done and we should do and we must do is we must give them the support that they need. I tell you this, after World War II, we had the Marshall Plan. You learned that in school. We actually helped Europe and Japan rebuild and industrialize themselves. We had Plan Colombia to defeat the narco traffickers in Colombia, Pablo Escobar and his gang. And if you go to Colombia today, it's a much different place than it was back then. Plan Colombia saw us train the military, train the police. We gave them Black Hawk helicopters and other equipment to take on the drug traffickers. In Haiti, we must do similarly. We must help them train their own people to defend themselves and protect themselves. And why should we help Haiti? And I like to say Haiti, as it's referred to by the natives, going back to the Indians that were there before the European came. Haiti. In Haiti, we have not treated them well over the years. And let me give you and the audience a little bit of history here. After the Haitian people, well, let me go before even the defeat of Napoleon. Let's go to the American War. Yeah, let's go 1804. Let's go to the
1804.
War.
I'm sorry.
Let's go to the War of Independence for America. When our backs were pinned to the seas in Savannah, Georgia, and the British were certain to defeat our military, it was Haitian forces who landed and rescued the American forces. There are monuments to that effect in Savannah today. After they defeated Napoleon in France in 1804, France was forced to give up the Louisiana lands. Not the state of Louisiana, folks, the Louisiana lands. They gave it to us for pennies on the dollar because Haiti beat France and made them go broke. They needed the money and they were fearful that the Haitian Revolution would spill over into the Louisiana lands. The Louisiana lands comprises 15, all are part of 15 United States. 15 states, about a third of our country. Louisiana, Kansas, all the way up into Missouri and into the Dakotas was a part of the French Empire here in America. 15 cents per acre we got it for. They gave it to us because they were fearful. That was helped because that was done because Haiti helped us because they defeated France. The city of Chicago was started by a Haitian American, the Saab. And by the way, how did we repay them? We helped enforce the reparation that France demanded for the people freeing themselves for enslavement. Robbing Haiti's treasury for years, up until 1940, almost 1950. They had to pay France from their treasury, from their taxes, so they couldn't build schools, roads, and hospitals. We helped to enforce that. Not only that, we occupied the country from 1915 to 1934, 19 years. All forces were there. And in fact, funniest thing is that we took them gold out of their national bank. We owe them a debt, and we ought to repay it with kindness. We ought to repay it with real action, such as what we did for Europe and Japan after World War II, what we did with Plan Colombia. There ought to be a Plan Haiti, where we give them preferential treatment for goods and services that comes out of Haiti. We need to help them with their industrialization. We need to give them the funding and the support to strengthen their armed forces, their police force, so that they can protect themselves. I was there when the UN forces were there, and those guys were having more of a good time than anything else. We didn't train and develop their forces enough. We didn't leave them with the equipment. Once the UN forces got out, all the vehicles, all the armaments went with them. So we left the country weak. We need to go in and help invest there, making sure that they have the resources needed. And yes, we should extend TPS because those folks are here laboring, helping our economy grow, doing jobs that many Americans won't do. They're an integral part of our economy now, and they're no longer undocumented, by the way. They're documented now because in order to be granted TPS, you have to go through a background check. You now have people who are working, paying taxes into our system. To take them out of the economy, that means you're going to have less productivity.
Yeah.
And send them back to a country that we says Americans shouldn't travel to, shouldn't visit because it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Temporary protective status is granted to countries who have those situations existing. These are not criminals. These are people who are working, striving to be a part of the American dream, which leads me to where we should have comprehensive immigration reform. It was proposed.
That was going to be my next question. That was going to be my. Let me hop in and say it. So your campaign supports immigration reform. What specific changes do you support regarding border security, asylum, and pathways to citizenship?
So let me start by saying we must have our borders secured. Okay. People ought to travel here through our legal channels. I'm an immigrant. My mother immigrated here as an assistant to a person in Michigan. She got a visa. She got a work permit to come in to help head and scoop in cold Michigan. And as a result of her good work, the person she worked for sponsored her to be a permanent resident. And then she got me here. So there are pathways that are there. We must secure our borders. Yes, we must. We must know who's coming in because we endanger ourselves if we don't. Now, what was proposed during Obama's term that the Republicans in the House, that we passed the Senate, by the way, the Republicans in the House killed, was for us to secure our borders, put the funding in place for that, but also to look at the folks who are here already and find a pathway to fully integrate them into our system and give them the opportunity to work and provide for themselves, their families. And what the Congressional Budget Office showed was where we were able to put this in place. If we were to put that in place at a time, we would have grown our economy by over $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion. If it goes in place now, we'd still be able to do that. We would be able to give people a pathway to become legal residents. And after a number of years, they would be able to become citizens. And further, they would pay a fine for entering if they came in without documentation, came in illegally. That would put money in our tax coffers to run our country. So there is legislation that can be put in place that can take care of that. What we have done with Trump is totally inhumane treatment of human beings. We've killed American citizens, people born here in the streets because they stood up for their neighbors. Now you see that's toned down a bit because I can tell you this. People who run businesses realize that if we don't have this labor force, they're not going to be able to produce the goods and services that we have. The affordability crisis would increase. Let me say this, not that they work only in these areas, because a large percent of the people in your hospitals are immigrants. A large percentage of the people working in the hotel industry, in a restaurant, are immigrants. They're in every facet of our life. So to throw all these people out, how does that make any sense? Some people have been here as children, the DACA recipient. They know no other place. They speak no other language, pretty much. They want to be a part of this. And those who are DACA recipient, you don't hear much about them because they're working, they're being productive, they're going to school, they're not committing crimes. That's not true that immigrants commit more crime than Americans. In fact, it's the reverse. So yes, comprehensive reform, immigration reform is essential for our country. It's something that will benefit all Americans, because if we grow our economy, everybody's going to benefit. There'll be more money going into revenue for taxes, so that we can provide more service for all Americans. So yes, I'm in support of that, certainly, but it must be done in a way that is beneficial to our economy, and the data shows, the fact shows that it will be beneficial to America and all Americans.
Yes. And Mr. Holness, what distinguishes you from all the other candidates in this race?
Well, first of all, my lived experience. You read that I was a freshman senator while I was in college. That lived experience is a part of it. I grew up here. For 51 years, I've lived right here in District 20. That's something that I can tell you I bring to the table, that lived experience, the understanding of all these communities. I was a part of as a kid, practically, I was a part of Jesse Jackson's push organization, People United to Serve Humanity. I'm a life member of the NAACP and supports them annually, even though my life membership says you don't really have to pay anymore since you became a life member. But I still do, because I know how essential the work is there. I'm a business owner, owning multiple businesses. So I understand the need to make payroll. I understand the need to build community. I have children and grandchildren now born here. So I have the lived experience of being a Black man. And that's not a qualification by itself. I have the lived experience of working with whites, Hispanics, and every other group in Broward County to help build and strengthen our economy. I have a track record of being open to the public, of being transparent in my life with them to ensure that we're able to come together. And that's something we must do. We must bring people together. I have a history of doing that, to bring our communities together, to strengthen every fabric of our community so that all Americans can have prosperity. And that's what I stand for. I want to see prosperity for all of us. I work with our unions over a long period of time to ensure we have a living wage for those who work. Those who labor and create profit ought to prosper from it. At the county, living wage for the airport workers went from $5.80 when I started the challenge to make sure that wheelchair workers were not paid, and those who check your baggages were not paid as tipped workers. We know that the baggage handlers usually get some tips, right? But the wheelchair folks never usually get any tips because nobody understood that you need to tip them. Most people didn't. They were making $5.80. They're now making almost $20 an hour as a livable wage. The airports didn't like it. Many didn't like it. Some Republicans didn't like it. But listen, at the end of the day, my job is to lift people up, lift the ordinary people up, because I'm one of us. I'm an ordinary person that God has blessed to be able to be in this great country.
And Mr. Holness, what did you learn from the other loss that you had? What did you learn from the last elections that has bettered you this time around?
So I learned quite a bit. One, you can't believe that you're going to win. Even then, I was working very hard, but there's something. The biggest lesson, though, is this, and folks ought to hear this, because some people say money don't matter when you run for office. Not true. When you outspent 8-10 to 1, that's a big difference.
Yes.
Someone who had so much more money than I did was able to do a lot more things that I wasn't able to do. What it has done is allow me to understand that if I don't have the money, then I have to double down on my ground effort to be out in front of people. And this time around, as I did back then also, we got on the ballot by petition. That means people signed a document that says Holness should go on the ballot. I didn't pay the $10,800 because I had the support of the people. 4,500 signatures, 3,325 were verified as accurate and signature match. Well, we only needed 2,564. So we had almost 700 more than we needed. Being engaged even deeper than I've been. And, I'm called Dale everywhere for everyone. I am even more so now. You've seen me out there at events all over. Certainly I can't make it to every single one, but we're there on the front line because we must work together to build a stronger economy for all our people. Our educational system needs to be strengthened so that we can build for the future. Early childhood education, funding for daycare need to be amped up We must build the future. We must offer free college, technical training for those who choose to go to college or those who seek technical training, because that will help us build our economy. Free 4 years for moderate, middle income, low income people. We should look also at how we forgive student loan for those who struggle to pay that back. If you make 100,000 or less, we ought to look to see how we forgive that to you easily and readily. Republicans block that. And those are usually the people who are teachers and nurses or police officers that need that relief to ensure that they can live in prosperity. We have to look at how we deal with our climate issues. Climate change is real. It's not a hoax. We see more wildfires in the West. We see more severe hurricanes than we've ever seen. We see floods, more floods, sea levels rising. It's a serious issue for the world that we must tackle and take on, and not pretend it doesn't exist, because it does exist. The science says it exists. We're experiencing it real time.
My next question for you, Mr. Holness, if you're elected to Congress in the 20th district, if the voters remember only one promise from your campaign 4 years from now, what measurable result should they hold you accountable for?
They should hold me accountable that I'll work to increase the housing stock and make housing more affordable. That's a big promise that I'll make. I have a real estate background. I'm a real estate broker now for most of my life. So I understand that we should expand the number of choice vouchers and direct some of that towards building new units. We certainly have an affordable crisis in the housing area in Broward County and across South Florida and the country. We can help relieve that if we put more new units out, because there's such a big demand and not enough supply. We also ought to look to increase home ownership, directing funding to help first-time home buyers own a home. I worked with that through the South Florida Board of Realtors, a group of minority real estate brokers who sought to enhance the democracy in housing so that more people own. You know, if you look at the data, you'll find that blacks only own about 46% of blacks own their own home, compared to about 76% of whites. We need to target that to ensure that we're lifting more people up that way. Hispanics own at a little higher level, but targeting funding into communities that have been left behind and left out and underserved is something that we must do. We have 30 opportunity zones in Broward County. Those are areas that are identified as places where there are high unemployment, high poverty rate, and low income. The Opportunity Zone Act allow for those who are wealthy and need to pay taxes and capital gain to not have to pay it if they invest in those areas. We need to adjust that to put in place goals to lift those community up and make sure that those who live there get some of the jobs that's created, and it doesn't become something where we displace them. We need to ensure that within that, there's funding for education for those people in the district, that there's apprenticeship program put in place for these projects that come online, and that the businesses within those communities be a part of that. So that's something that you can expect me to fight for. And that was passed in a bipartisan way. That is something that I believe we can bring to the table and get Republican support to lift those communities up that have been left behind. It doesn't do all that it needs to do. We can't just say we're going to give tax breaks to wealthy people and expect it to fix the problems that we have. We have to put investment dollars in. We got to set goals for those that are doing the investment in these communities to be inclusive of the community.
And while you're
talking about, I'll work hard and tirelessly every day, as I have done at the county level, and I'll be strategic and I'll be accessible to all of you as I have been over the years.
And I think this will be my last question. And while you're talking about homes, affordable homes, you have to throw in homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance has been hurting Floridians and Americans around this country. Some people with the rates that the premiums that they send us in the mail, and just watching how homeowners insurance has gone up. My homeowners insurance, when I first bought my home, it was like $300-400. Now it's $6,000 and going up every year. And they don't want to pay out when you file a claim, And so my question is, what would be a way that you can help bring down the cost of homeowners insurance
The federal level.
At the federal level? Would you look at something like a national risk pool, or
so there's a national catastrophic fund that could be put in place where you take out certain risk. For example, one of the biggest factors that cause your insurance to go up is a threat of hurricane. Though they don't occur every year, that's a huge risk factor that's priced into your bill. If we take that out, you could see reduction in your cost of at least 30%. Some say as much as 60%. So if you take that, if you put in place that national catastrophic fund, you'd spread the risk across the country, not just for hurricanes, but in California, you have wildfires, you have tornado in the Midwest, you have flooding and other natural disasters elsewhere. You pool that together and you reduce the risk. Certainly we have FEMA, but that would even reduce the amount of money FEMA would have to put out. So that can be done, and it should be done. It must be done to help you with that that cost that you have there. It's a big factor that can help to bring the rates down dramatically immediately.
Okay. Wayne?
Yes, and Mr. Holness, what grade would you give the current Congress right now?
Oh, it'd be a failing grade, and because when you look at what they've allowed this administration to do to the American people, and the Republicans are complicit in it. They have given up their responsibility of the purse. Trump is running over them. He's spending money like crazy on stuff that are not reducing the cost of living for the American people. That's a big deal. They have not held him accountable to what he promised, that he would create affordability for the American people. In fact, inflation is rising. The cost of living has gone up. We talked earlier about the gas prices. It's gone through the roof. We're in serious crisis. This Republican Congress, and they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They have not put any checks in place to balance what this president has done. And that is what the founders of our country wanted. They wanted separation of the government to the extent that the Congress had the legislative and the power over the purse. The presidency had the executive order to carry out the day-to-day action that the Congress funded, not what he wants to do. And then the Republicans have stacked the Supreme Court to where the Supreme Court is now allowing this president to do things that he shouldn't be able to do. They're finding ways to gut the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. They're finding ways to gut the protection that all Americans need in terms of the protection for as consumers, that corporate entities don't do things that cause them harm. There's a huge problem that we have out there with what this Congress have allowed this president to do, and they're all afraid of him. But the people will speak, and they'll speak loudly. And I can tell you this, I believe, with all the gerrymandering and the antics that they're doing, we will win the House. The Democrats will, and bring balance to this government. I'm praying that we're also able to win the Senate. And in 2 years' time, we ought to take the House, the Senate, and the presidency so we can reverse some of these dangerous things that they've put in place.
Well said.
And my final question, is what are some of the major endorsements you have received for your campaign?
Well, I've gotten support from a large number of people.
We have some here, but we want you to tell them.
Mayor Bogan is supported me. He still is. Sheriff Tony gave me a huge endorsement that can be found on my website. Their Commissioner Hazel Rogers. You have Commissioner Shinesky from your city in Deerfield Beach. I have Mayor from Lauderhill, Mayor Denise Grant, the Mayor of Margate, Serio. The list goes on. There's about 30-something leaders, elected leaders across Broward County that have endorsed my candidacy, and I'm so grateful. And they did it because I was there on the front lines with them to do what was right for people. That is why they have endorsed me. And there are other people calling them and doing all kind of things to get them to change their endorsement. And one called me, Mayor Asario said, I'm doubling down on my endorsement of you, and I'm going to make sure I get you some more money shortly. And you can find me at holnessforcongress.com, and you'll see a number of these endorsements and hear the testimonials from people and from elected leaders who have endorsed and supported me.
And where can we find you at on social media?
At Holness for Congress. At Holness. My website is holnessforcongress.com, but you can find me at Holness for Congress.
Okay, and the deadline to register to vote is July the 20th. The deadline to vote by mail is August the 6th. Early voting starts August the 8th through August the 16th. I'm gonna read that to you guys again.
Let me help you on the vote by mail request, not to vote by mail, but to request to vote by mail. You can vote by mail up until election day, but on election day, you need to take it to one of the supervisor of elections. You can drop it off at the early voting sites up until Monday, but the last 48 hours, that vote by mail ballot needs to go to one of their 7 offices that they have. But during early voting, there are 21 different early voting sites, and that early voting starts August 8th, and it goes through the 16th. It will be from 11 until 7 each day.
Okay.
All right.
For Congress.com, you can find that information also. You can register to vote by going to holnessforcongress.com. Click register to vote, and it'll take you right to the supervisor of election site. You can also click on vote by mail at that site, and it will take you to where you can go to the supervisor of elections office and request a vote by mail ballot. You can also donate, volunteer, find out more about me at holnessforcongress.com.
All right, well said. We have been talking to former elected as student government freshman senator. He's also a former City of Lauderhill Commissioner from 2004 to 2010, served 2 terms as the vice mayor, Broward County Commissioner, District 9, 2010 to 2022. Also served 1 term as Broward County Mayor during the height of COVID. And now he is seeking to be the next U.S. Congressman. And
a friend of this podcast.
A friend of this podcast in District 20. So he's asking for your vote on August the 18th. Mr. Dale V.C. Holness, thank you for always being a friend of our podcast. And when you win, you have our information. You know how to get in contact with us, and we know how to get in contact with you. We would like for you to make your first appearance right back here on this podcast, if you would be so kind.
You know, during COVID, I was on your podcast disseminating information, and thank you for that. Thank you for being a friend. You can expect me to do just that, to ensure that I'm communicating to the people, and your medium will certainly be one of those mediums that I use.
Thank you.
All right, Dale V.C. Holness. The election is August 18th. He's asking for your vote. Sir, thank you for joining us here, and we look forward to seeing you back here on this podcast here in the near future. Good luck on August 18th.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much. I look forward to joining you again. And please pray for me, but please help. Volunteer, donate at holnessforcongress.com.
No doubt.
All right. Thank you, sir, and enjoy the rest of your evening. We'll be right back in a few minutes with the Pop-Up Podcast.
All right. Thank you.